In this video, I'm going to tell you how I got out of $19,227 of credit card debt without paying a single penny of interest, and I'm going to teach you how you can do the same as well. So like I said at the start, this video is all about credit card debt, how I racked up massive amounts of debt, and how I was able to pay it off interest-free. I'm going to teach you how you can do the same thing. But in order to get to the story, we have to go back to the beginning. So if you don't know, I am now 31 years old, but back in my early 20s, starting out at just 20 years old, I got my very first credit card, and I really had no idea at all what I was doing. At the time when I was 20, I think I was working barely over minimum wage at the time, so I was not making a lot of money. And my first card, it was actually a Capital One card. They offered me my very first credit card, and they gave me a credit line of $2,000. And I was super stoked about this, and I went out and bought a bunch of useless items, a bunch of wants, not needs, not items that I needed. I bought it once, and I think I bought an Xbox 360 at a time, a bunch of games, a bunch of other purchases, and that's initially what I started purchasing on this credit card, and eventually I got another credit card and started making more purchases, and over the time, to about the time I was about 24, 25 years old, I eventually got to the point where I was just a little over $20,000 in debt from all of these credit cards. Now, unfortunately, this seems to be the norm in America. A lot of people want to keep up appearances and show that they're making a bunch of money, so they just buy a bunch of items on credit, put it on the credit card, even though they can't really afford to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of people go massively into debt because of this. So hopefully we can change this going into the future. I know I no longer do this. But I did get into debt, and I'm going to teach you how I got out of it without paying a bunch of interest. And the sad thing is, most people, when they sign up for credit cards, they have no idea how much interest these cards are actually charging them. That's how the credit card companies actually make their money. They don't make their money from lending you money to buy stuff. They make money from the interest that they charge you from the money that they lent you initially. That's how they make a ton of money. So when you get a credit card, you get a bunch of paperwork, it has a bunch of stuff written on it. Nobody reads any of that, which of course you should read, but nobody actually does, and it will tell you your APR on the card. Now, the APR is basically how much interest they're going to charge you on what you owe them over the course of a year. So for example, let's say you have a card that has $10,000 of credit card debt that you put on. So you have $10,000 of debt on that card, and they have a 25% APR. What that means is you're going to be charged about $2,500 in interest every single year on that card, which is just absolutely insane. You'll never pay off that card. If you have $10,000 in debt and they're charging you $2,500 in interest a year, pretty much all of your payments are just going to go towards paying off the interest. It'll just be marginally paying off the actual money you owe. Most of it will go towards the interest. And companies, credit card companies know they can do this. They know they can make so much money. And it's really sad because a lot of people will never get out of debt just because of the interest rates. I believe the best card I had at the time was like 16% APR, and my worst card was just over 25. I think it was 27% APR, which is just absolutely insane. And most cards, especially if you're just starting out, if you don't have a long credit history, most cards you'll have at the very least, about a 20% APR or higher, which means they're charging you about 20% interest per year on your card. And if you have massive debt, you'll never get out of debt with that kind of interest rate. And the tricky thing about the credit card companies is that they want to keep you locked in, making interest payments, accruing more interest over time. They want you to keep that in that cycle forever. So generally, when they give you the minimum payment, if you have a credit card and they say this is your minimum payment, generally your minimum payment will be just higher than your actual interest that you're accruing for that month. So let's say you're accruing $100 of interest that month, your minimum payment will be like $105, which means $100 of that payment is just going towards the interest. You're not actually paying down the capital of the money you owe. You're just paying down $5 of the capital and $100 of the interest, which is just absolutely insane. So if you're making minimum payments, you'll get into a cycle where you could end up paying a large credit card bill for 5, 10, even 15 years before you potentially pay it all off because of all of the interest. Now, at the time, when I initially found this out, again, when I first signed up, I had no idea about APR. Once I learned about it, once I realized and got frustrated, realizing I was never going to be able to pay this off, I started to do some research, and I don't know initially where I heard about this, but I initially heard about something called balance transfers, and balance transfers saved my life. Now, a balance transfer is something that most cards will offer, most credit cards will offer this, not all of them, but most. Basically what this is let's say you have a credit card with $10,000 of debt on it, and you get a new credit card that has you have no payments on it, there's nothing you're charged on it, but you have a $10,000 limit. You can do a balance transfer to your new card from your old card. So you would take the debt and move it over to your new card, so now you have new debt on this card and no debt on the old card. Now you may be thinking, why the heck would I do that? I'm just moving my debt around. That's stupid. It doesn't save me any money at all. Why would I do this at all? And the reason you want to do this is because credit card companies will offer 0% APR balance transfers for many new cards. So basically you'll get a new card, and based on what card it is, based on your credit history, they'll offer 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. The highest I ever saw was 21 months of 0% APR balance transfer. So that means any debt that you transfer over to the new card, you don't have to pay any interest on. They don't charge you a single penny in interest for whatever the promotional period is. So let's say it has 18 months. So you transfer the $10,000 over to the new card, you make monthly payments on it, and all of the payments that you go directly towards the actual debt. There's no interest, 0 interest being charged. And that's how initially I got out of all this debt. I got out of $19,227 worth of debt by just doing balance transfers. Now, I know some people may be thinking, why would a credit card company offer this? Why would they offer you a balance transfer and charge you no interest for 18 months? How are they going to make any money off of that? And that's a very valid question. And the truth is, the majority of people who sign up for these bonus offers, and there are other bonus offers as well, sometimes they'll have cash back, sometimes they'll give you like $100 after you spend $1,000 on the card. All of these credit card companies will offer some type of bonus to get new customers in. And the reason they offer this is because they know the majority of people will sign up for the card, they'll go into debt, and then they won't pay off their card in time, and they'll be charged a bunch of interest over time. They know that's how the majority of people are going to use these offers, but if you use them correctly like I did, like I know everyone that is watching this video is going to do, if you use these offers correctly, you can actually make money off of the credit card companies and have them actually make no money off of you. So that's what I did. I initially had the $19,000. I had about 4 cards at the time. I transferred those over to 3 cards, 3 new credit cards that I started with 0% APRs. One was 12 months, the other 2 were 18 months. And I put all of my debt on that, and I had no interest payments for the 12 months on the one card and the 18 months on the other 2 cards. And then once the time ran out on the bonus offers, I still hadn't paid all the debt off. So then I transferred it to 2 new cards that I had created as well. So that's how I initially got so many credit cards. But I used this effectively, and I used it correctly to pay off my $19,000 of debt with no interest payments. If I had left my debt on the other cards with the 25% APR on higher on many of these other cards, I would have very easily paid $30,000, potentially even $35,000 or $40,000 worth of debt off after all of the interest payments over the course of the next 5 years that it would have taken me to pay them off if I had just left them on my high interest cards. So 0% balance transfers were what saved my life. It massively saved me, and I would still be in debt to this day if I had not learned about balance transfers. So below I'm going to have a link. This is not an affiliate link, it's just a link to a page that will show you the best balance transfer cards. If this is something you want to do, I highly recommend it. If you are in credit card debt, doing a 0% APR balance transfer to a card that will give you no interest payments for whatever 6, 12, 18 months is the best way to pay down your debt and eventually get out of debt. Now, one thing I want to say, if you're not in debt, the best thing to do is to just not put any money on your credit cards. The best way to stay out of debt is never go into debt in the first place. But I know, unfortunately, a lot of people are in debt, like myself included, so that's why I did this video. I highly recommend balance transfers. Again, you can actually make a lot of money from the credit card companies if you actually use the offers, the bonus offers correctly. There are a lot of credit cards that will allow you to sign up for a new card, spend $1,000, they'll give you $100, $200 in free cash once you spend that $2,000, and then you can just pay it all off. So that is what I do now. I now open new cards, and I spend my initial purchase, whatever it is, $1,000. I get the $200, and then I pay off the credit card that month. I pay everything off that I owe on it, so I get $200 free from the company, and then I don't use the credit card anymore. So potentially down the road, if you are initially in debt right now, potentially someday you can get out of debt and actually make credit card companies actually work for you. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed learning about balance transfers. If you don't know, if you want to know some more information about them, leave a comment below. I'm happy to answer any questions about balance transfers. And I hope you enjoyed this content. Be sure and like and subscribe. We'll have more great content coming up soon. Thanks everyone, and have a fantastic day.